Well, good going, Trump. We're not even 2 weeks into your presidency, and we already have videos of mass protests in one of our closest allied countries in Latin America because you sent your Secretary of State to visit after repeatedly threatening them and not even ruling out military coercion. In Panama, I have some videos of citizens taking to the streets, protesting, burning American flags, even attacking dolls or effigies of American politicians on the ground. And I'd like to run down the implications of Donald Trump's insanely bolsterous, undiplomatic rhetoric. The way that he talks about all of our allies is not only despicable, but it's the opposite of diplomacy. There's a difference between being strong on the world stage and just being a reckless asshole who comes in with a sledgehammer and tries to tariff every country, only threatening our allies, only tariffing our allies, while weirdly never coming up with a nickname for Vladimir Putin. Is it not weird? Is it not weird to you guys that Trump has a nickname for Governor Newsom, for Trudeau, for Biden, for all of our Democratic allies, but he's never come up with a nickname for Vladimir Putin? But that's besides the point. I just want to remind you guys that Panama is a key ally in Latin America. We share strong economic ties, political ties, even security ties, and the Panama Canal remains strategically critical. And the thing is, we have access to it. We can use it however we'd like. We can just negotiate with them. You can negotiate without threatening military coercion. So before I play this video, I want to break down this chain of events that has happened over the past week between all of our closest partners. For example, I have a video of Canada's PM, contender, saying that they will stand up to a bully. And the bully is now America. We are now bullying our closest allies. This says Mark Carney, the frontrunner to be the next Canadian Prime Minister, has said his country is, quote, going to stand up to a bully after U.S. President Donald Trump announced tariffs of 25% on Canada. Now, those are supposed to go into effect today. We'll talk about that later in the video. But speaking exclusively to BBC, the 59-year-old Carney said Canada will, quote, match dollar for dollar the U.S. tariffs. Let's watch this clip.
The steps that the president is taking against Canada, contemplating, I guess, as well against Mexico, China, others, and threatening the world are going to rebound negatively on the United States. They're going to hit growth. They're going to move up inflation. They're going to raise interest rates. They're going to damage the U.S.'s reputation around the world. I mean, let's be absolutely clear. This is the second time in less than 10 years, less than 8 years, that the United States has, in effect, ripped up a trade agreement with its closest trading partner that it negotiated in good faith.
That's why I always say Canada is our closest trading partner, not only with volume of trade, but geographically. They're our neighbors, and we shouldn't be threatening them. But also, Carney makes a really good point here. Donald Trump is ripping up a trade agreement that he himself negotiated during his first term, so he's clearly not a trustworthy agent on the world stage. He's a bad faith actor. It's like Putin signing the Budapest Memorandum and then still invading Ukraine years later. Trump is the same way. He is not a good faith actor, and honestly, leaders shouldn't treat him like one. And I don't want other countries to be mass protesting and burning American flags. Ideally, that shouldn't happen, but I understand why they're doing it. And honestly, I think other countries should at some point come together and build a coalition that can thrive without America. As much as I think America should be the leader on the global stage, if Trump's going to be our president, I wouldn't blame Canada and Mexico and other countries for creating their own separate alliance where they can trade without relying on America. But here's another really good video I want to play. This says, this is the response to Trump's tariffs I've been waiting for from Canada. And he says, the threat comes from the President of the United States, a convicted felon and a known predator. Let him cook. Let's watch this video. By the way, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the Mockler channel. We're trying to hit 1 million subscribers. Let's jump into this.
We are here this morning, my friends, as an unlikely group with leaders from across the political spectrum who've come together with cultural leaders, artists, academics, athletes, labor activists, and Indigenous militant activists. We represent the incredible regions of our beautiful country, and we are here for one reason. Our nation, our beloved Canada, is under threat. It is an economic threat, but it's also a threat to our values of decency and inclusion. It's a threat to our sovereignty and our very future as a nation. The threat comes, of course, from the President of the United States, a convicted felon and known predator. He's threatening massive tariffs to try and break us as a people. But the threat is also being driven by the hate algorithms of the oligarchs like Elon Musk. And there is the threat from people in our own country who would sell out our birthright to appease the gangster class from Mar-a-Lago. That is not going to happen.
Honestly, this dude brought the fire, and as much as I love our Democratic politicians, I feel like they've been lacking on bringing the same fire. It feels like they've kind of just been nowhere. I mean, AOC's been doing really well. Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom have been doing great, but I can count on like one hand the amount of Democratic politicians that are out there right now railing against Trump on a day-to-day basis. And this dude from Canada actually ends up stepping up. So before I play this video of people in Panama protesting, I just want to point out that Trump's aggressive-ass posturing and threats that undermine all of our closest relationships isn't just bad for business, even beyond business. It's a direct hit to the regional stability and the cooperation that has brought us this far, that has allowed us to be such a leader on the global stage, and it's a direct hit to critical issues like immigration, security. He pulls us out of the Paris Climate Accord. That hurts climate change long term. So no matter what Trump thinks he's doing, whether he actually wants to militarily invade Canada or he just thinks he's gaining leverage in some sick, twisted way, either way, it's isolating America from the very allies that have stood by us through thick and thin. And this short-sighted approach risks unraveling decades of diplomatic progress, but Trump doesn't care about that. They want the U.S. to be more isolated and more vulnerable on the global stage, even if it means alienating some of the people that have been with us since day one. Canada is a strong ally. Denmark and Greenland, they are strong allies to the U.S., and of course, Panama is as well. So let's break down this video. And this article says, Panama protests erupt as Rubio arrives mid-canal dispute. So Secretary of State Marco Rubio comes to Panama, and this happens.
Que ha defendido su derecho a la soberanía en su territorio, que la vía interoceánica se haya en el buen panameño se puede decir que recuperar algo es porque fue tuyo.
They have Trump's face on this.
Que lo tuvieron bajo administración casi 100 años, no los califica a ellos a expresar de que va.
I mean, I want to pose the question, how many countries did this for President Biden or for Secretary of State Blinken? None. None of our allies did this because he's a normal person who has a steady hand. But this reads, Panamanian police on Friday fired tear gas and clashed with protesters angered by Donald Trump's threat to take control of the Panama Canal ahead of a visit this weekend by the U.S.'s top diplomat, Marco Rubio. The demonstrators, who included university students and teachers, burned an effigy and photos of Trump, who accuses China of unfair influence over the Panama Canal. The protesters, quote, categorically reject the United States' attempts to turn Panama into a protectorate and colony again, said teachers union leader Diogenes Sanchez. Quote, we are going to fight to defend our national sovereignty, he added. Earlier, another group of protesters burned tires before they were dispersed by riot police. The unrest came on the eve of a visit by Rubio to the Central American nation, part of his first trip abroad in the post. Trump, in his inaugural address on January 20th, alleged that China was effectively operating the waterway, which the United States handed to Panama in 1999. You know, I'll leave it there. Later today, I want to do a live stream after Trump imposes his tariffs. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.